What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 119 of the Idiotic Sports Talk. I'm your host, Liam Gavin, coming to you live from my dining room, and I just want to give you all my Western Conference semifinals recap. We'll start right now. We'll have the Mavericks, the 4 seed, defeating the Phoenix Suns, who were the number 1 seed, in a 7-game upset. It was a great series. Let's dive into game 1. The Suns took a 1-0 lead with a 112-114 win. Devin Booker had 23 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. DeAndre Ayton, 25 points and 8 rebounds. And Chris Paul had 19 points, while Luka Doncic had a fantastic game, 45 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, but it just wasn't enough for the win. So we move on to game 2, and the Suns were able to dominate from start to finish, 129-109 to take a 2-0 series lead. Devin Booker with 30 points, Chris Paul with 28 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds. And Luka Doncic put up 35 points this game, but it just wasn't enough for the win. But game 3, the Mavericks are home, and they're able to get a win, 103-98. And their defense was able to contain guys like Booker, CP3, and DeAndre Ayton, and they made the guys like Jay Crowder be their leading scorer for the Suns with just 19 points, while Luka Doncic had a great game again, 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 assists. But finally, someone outside of Luka stepped up, and that would happen to be Jalen Brunson, as he had 28 points in this game. So we go on to game 4, and the Mavs defended home court again, and the series is tied 2-2 as they get the 111-101 win. Luka Doncic, 28 points, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds. He also had 2 players help him out, which was Dorian Finney-Smith with 24 points and Jalen Brunson with 18 points. Devin Booker for the Suns had 35 points. Chris Paul only had 5 points. Just an awful game 4 for Chris Paul that I'm sure he wished he could get back. Game 5, the Suns take a 3-2 series lead, 110 to, I think I have the wrong score here. I think I wrote 108, but I have the wrong score. But it was a complete blowout win for the Suns. They won by like 20-something points, and Devin Booker had 28. DeAndre Ayton had 20 points and 9 rebounds, and Chris Paul had 7 points, but he also had 10 assists as well. And in Game 6, the Mavs were able to go back home and tie the series 3-3 thanks to a 113-86 blowout win of their own. Luka Doncic had 33 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists. Reggie Bullock stepped up with 19 points, and Jalen Brunson also stepped up with 18 points. DeAndre Ayton had a 21-point, 11-rebound double-double. Devin Booker with 19 points. And Chris Paul with 13 points in this game. Game 7 goes back to Phoenix. One team's got to win, the other team's going home, and it's the Mavs who were able to close out the series with a dominant 123-90 win. At halftime, the score was 57-27, and at that point, Luka Doncic had the same amount of points at halftime that the Suns had completely. Luka had 27 at half. Meanwhile, the Suns had 27 as a whole team at half. Luka wound up finishing with 35 points and 10 rebounds. Spencer Dinwiddie stepped up with 30 points off the bench. Jalen Brunson had 24 points as well. And, tough night for Devin Booker, only 11 points. And Chris Paul, he also had a terrible night. He only scored 10 points in Game 7, and just really rough. They got eliminated. They lost a tough finals last year to the Bucks, and a lot of people had them maybe winning the finals again, or at least going there, and now they're kicked out in the second round. Let's look at the player stats throughout this series. Luka Doncic, 32.5 points per game, 9.8 rebounds per game, 7 assists per game, and 2 steals per game. While Jalen Brunson had 18.7 points per game, Dorian Finney-Smith, 10 points per game, and Spencer Dinwiddie, 11.5 points per game off the bench. Devin Booker, 23.5 points per game. Chris Paul, 13.5 points per game and 5 assists per game. A pretty bad series, rough series for Chris Paul compared to the last series he played against the Pelicans. Just a major drop-off in numbers. And DeAndre Ayton, 15.7 points per game and 8 rebounds per game. the Mavericks will be advancing to the Western Conference Finals since the last time they won a championship in 2011. The next series we have is the 3rd seed Warriors beating the 2nd seed Grizzlies in 6 games. In Game 1, the Warriors took a 1-0 series lead, 117 to 116 in the win. The Grizzlies got off to a hot start with a 10-point lead in the first quarter, but we all know 10 points, it's not a lot in basketball. Ja Morant went for the game-winning layup in the final seconds, but missed. And a big story this game was Draymond Green was ejected with the flagrant 1 as he pulled down Brandon Clark. Clark went up for a layup, and Draymond grabbed him by his jersey and ripped him down. So he was tossed that game. But the Warriors were still able to overcome that adversity and get the win. Steph Curry had 24 points, and Jordan Poole off the bench had 31 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds. Ja Morant had 34 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds for the Grizzlies. And Jaren Jackson Jr. had 33 points and 10 rebounds. Game 2, the Grizzlies were able to bounce back, and they won to tie the series up. They won 106 to 101. Ja Morant went off for 47 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. And this was the game where Dillon Brooks got ejected in the first 3 minutes for a flagrant 2 for knocking Gary Payton Jr., Gary Payton II, to the ground. Payton went up for a layup, and Brooks came flying in with a hard foul, which knocked Payton to the ground and actually fractured his elbow. And Payton had to miss the rest of the series, and he could miss the rest of the playoffs. We'll see how things get. Things got chippy between these two teams. Steph Curry went off 27 points, 8 assists, and 9 rebounds. Jordan Poole had 20 points as well on the night. And in Game 3, we got the Warriors blowing out the Grizzlies. The Warriors were able to go back home. They got the job done, 142 to 112 to take a 2-1 series lead. This was the game where Dillon Brooks was suspended. So there was no Dillon Brooks, and the Warriors took clear advantage of that as Steph Curry was able to go for 30 points, and Klay Thompson went for 21 points and 9 rebounds. Jordan Poole again with another great game, 27 points for him. And Ja Morant had 34 points and 7 assists. In Game 4, the Warriors took a 3-1 lead after a 101-98 win. No Ja Morant for the Grizzlies because he hurt his knee. The Grizzlies were 20-5 in the regular season without Ja Morant, but they needed him this game because they took the loss. They had a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter and just gave it up. Steph Curry had 32 points and 8 assists. Andrew Wiggins, 17 points and 10 rebounds. Jaren Jackson Jr. for the Grizzlies had 21 points. Tyus Jones, filling in for Ja Morant, had 19 points. And Steven Adams had 10 points to go with 15 rebounds. In Game 5, the Grizzlies were able to bounce back with a huge win, 134-95 to go down 3-2 in the series. At the end of the third quarter, the Grizzlies led by as many as 52 points. Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane, and Tyus Jones all had 21 points on the night. But in Game 6, the Warriors got the job done at home and closed the series out with a 110-96 victory. It was a close game up until the fourth quarter when the Warriors outscored the Grizzlies 32-19. Klay Thompson had 30 points and 8 rebounds. Steph Curry, 29 points. Andrew Wiggins with an 18-point and 11-rebound double-double. Draymond Green had a double-double of his own, which was 14 points and 15 rebounds. And Kevon Looney had a 22-rebound game. Absolute monster game for him. And, no Ja for the third straight game for the Grizzlies. So Dillon Brooks had 30 points. Desmond Bane had 25, but it just wasn't enough to get the job done. Let's go into the player stats for this series. Steph Curry, 26 points per game. Klay averaged 18.5 points per game. Jordan Poole off the bench had 17.8 points per game. And Andrew Wiggins, 15 points per game to go at 7 rebounds per game. Ja Morant in just 3 games had 38.3 points per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, 8.3 assists per game, and 3 steals per game. Desmond Bane, not his best series as he had 14 points per game. Jaren Jackson Jr., 19 points per game to go at 6.3 rebounds per game. And Dylan Brooks, 12.5 points per game in 5 games because he was suspended for that game 3 for the flagrant foul that he put on Gary Payton II, which fractured his elbow. So the Warriors, they advanced to the conference finals for their first time since the 2019 season. And as for the Grizzlies, they go home, but, they have a lot of young talent. They have a solid core that they could build around, and we could see them contend for a championship in the future. So that's it for my Western Conference Western semi-conference finals round. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you tune in as I give my Eastern Conference Finals and Western Conference Finals predictions. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on my Instagram. Take care, and make sure you tune in to my next episode.